let's get into the big topic of open source, something that we actually say at Red Hat. We have a
This is so awesome.
We are an open culture that believes in the importance of
What is that process that a developer, or let's say
as the Kubernetes ecosystem really boomed?
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're happy to have you here. This is the Ask an OpenShift admin live stream. This live stream is part of the Red Hat Office Hours series. So just like in office hours you would have in college with your professor, where you go and ask a bunch of questions, that's what we're here for. So feel free to ask us any questions about our topic today, which is the Trusted Artifact Signer. Or about OpenShift or Red Hat in general, or pretty much anything. We'll do our best to get it answered. Today's topic, again, is the Red Hat Trusted Artifact Signer. It's a tech preview feature that just came out. A lot of cool stuff with another. It's tightly related, coupled. I think. Hopefully, I'm not stepping on my toes here, like by saying this, but it's pretty tightly coupled with the upstream project Sigstore, right? So a lot of the components of that. So if you remember back to our October security series right before KubeCon, we talked about all the different things leading up, right, for security. And at the end of that was the DevSecOps pipeline. And part of that pipeline was, having a resource get signed and then, pushed into our repo. So that way we knew, hey, this thing is good to go. We sign it, we trust it, and, it's awesome. So this is like how all that magic actually happens. And so we've got a good crew of people here today. Sally, I don't know if you remember me, but we met very briefly at KubeCon. Like I was that weird guy that came up and interrupted you. Like I think we've worked loosely together for like the last year on a couple different things, and so it was cool to actually like get to meet you in person. So
oh yeah,
it's pretty cool. Nice.
Definitely, KubeCon was a great time.
It was that was my first one, and so getting to go and experience it and. No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. It was my first time since COVID. So.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
First conference since COVID. Yeah.
Did you present, or were you just there as a?
I did. I overextended myself during KubeCon. Actually, I presented on a few things. Sustainability. I talked about Kepler and how Kepler can be combined with OpenTelemetry Collector.
Awesome.
And then I was interviewed on theCUBE. So that was pretty exciting and a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But we talked about mostly about Edge on theCUBE. And then I presented the Trusted Artifact Signer at OpenShift Commons. So that was fun. And that was like a day before we announced Tech Preview. So I kind of gave it a sneak preview before it was actually out.
Nice. Yeah, getting it out there. Hey, so you must have been, by the time Friday got around, you must have been like ready to go home, go to bed.
I will not do that to myself again. That was not a good idea.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, cool. So, we're going to start off by doing the top of mind, and then I'll have Vita kick it off for introductions. But the top of mind, really the biggest one is this is the last stream of the year. So we've made it, we're 121 episodes in. We're going to pick back up after the new year. And, between the Ask an OpenShift admin and GitOps Guide to the Galaxy, I think that between those two office hours, we've got a lot of excellent content coming up. And I think that we felt the security series was, pretty successful in that we were able to start small and go big and then, make an impact. Leading up into KubeCon and leading up into some releases and stuff like that. So I think we're going to try and keep that going, especially with big projects like ACM and stuff like that. And security is always going to be on the mind of everybody, like all the time now, right? So I think that as these new security features are coming out, right, we're going to do our best to make sure that we're putting that out there and making it available to our viewers. But the other one is, I was in an OpenShift Commons briefing last week, and one of the viewers was asking for, hey, how do I submit an RFE? And so I thought it was as simple as just going to the RFE Jira page and submitting one, but it is not. So I think the right way to submit an RFE is to go through your account team or submit a Bugzilla. But if you want to see which RFEs are available, you can go to this link that I'm sharing here. And once you get there, you don't have to have an account to log in. It's a public Jira page, and you can see all the RFPs that are out there. So you can go out there and check and see if like, hey, is the thing that I want, already being asked for, and is it being worked on and stuff like that. So just a good place to go out and get some information. And then a shameless plug here for my coworker Marty Jackson, who briefed at OpenShift Commons yesterday on secrets in GitOps and secrets in OpenShift. Go out and check this out because Marty did a really good job of breaking down like why we use secrets or how we manage secrets in GitOps. And so if you're struggling to figure that out, go check this out because Marty did a really good job. And then I'm going to steal a little bit of our team here's thunder, and I'm going to post their release blog from the developers website. And so this has got, I read through this morning. It's really good. There's a lot of links in there that you can go to. They have scripts that set up Keycloak and things like that for you. So like if you want to go out there and kick the tires with it, go check out that blog and, let us know if it's working or if you have any problems, right? So I'm Jonny at redhat.com and Sully is Sully at redhat.com or definitely Andrew.Sullivan at redhat.com. And speaking of Sully's not here today because he's out, saving the world, doing a roadshow for Red Hat, so he's not here. He's too busy, so, you guys have to sit through this and, suffer through it with me. Thor, my man, how you doing? And then finally, this is the last one, and I'll kick it over to you, Vita. If you want to become familiar with OpenShift Commons, Karina Angel is doing such an awesome job of making sure that community is staying afloat, and she's doing all these awesome things with the special interest groups and stuff like that. And she is just like, I don't know how she's got the time or the focus or just the visibility into all this stuff, but she is just doing an incredible job. And she's setting up these different special interest groups. So if you're interested in Edge or if you're interested in security or validated patterns, like she's setting up these different groups and getting them online and having them come talk to things. So yeah, come check it out. And yes, I'm gonna block this guy. So yes, check out the commons.openshift.org. It's awesome. And yeah, Karina, if you're listening or if you're watching later, you're doing an outstanding job. I don't know how you do it. I think it's amazing. So more power to you because that's awesome. And so with all that, with all the craziness, my hyper trying to get everything out in one breath. Vita, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Jonny. Hi, everyone. I'm Veda Shankar. I'm a product manager in the Trusted Software Supply Chain team in the application developer BU at Red Hat. I'll let the others introduce themselves, and then Jonny, are you sharing the screen already or not yet? Because we can first do the intro and then we'll share. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. We could first do the intro and then we'll come back. Yeah, I thought the names will be there. Okay, go ahead. Next, Sally.
Hey, yep, Sally O'Malley. I am a principal software engineer. I'm in the emerging tech, so I switch projects a lot. And for the past, 6 months or so, we've been heads down working on Trusted Artifact Signer, which is our implementation of 6.4. And Greg?
Thanks, Sally. I'm also a software engineer in the Emerging Technologies Department Platform and Services team. Just like Sally, transferred on about 6 months to the Trusted Artifact Signer team, and I've been helping with the productization there. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, thank you. So my name is Marcus Nago. I'm a technical marketing manager in the application services business unit. The thing is, I've been working in services at Red Hat for 6 years. Before that, another company with a 3-letter acronym that now owns us for 17 years, also in services. And I just a year ago so switched over to technical marketing, so writing blog posts, helping teams with collateral that's needed, and also being on stream shows like this. So hope you enjoy.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to have all of you here. We don't normally have this many people, so it's like my ADD is kind of bouncing around trying to make sure I'm keeping up. But yeah, I'm glad all of y'all showed up, and this is an interesting topic, right? Because like we've done DevSecOps security and supply chain security and stuff like that. These conversations have come up a lot, and I think Cosign was still pretty new with 6.4, or 6.4 was just kind of like gaining some popularity, right? And so we were using Cosign and Recore a little bit, and so to see that we as a company have taken a big step and productized and basically like all right, let's make this legit for us, right? Let's start using it. I think it's an awesome leap forward, and it's showing that we're really taking supply chain security like very seriously, and it's awesome.
Yep.
Agreed.
Do you want me to share?
Yeah, Jonny, go ahead and share. That way I'll quickly touch upon the agenda. So that's the team that's going to be presenting to you. And so I'll take just about 4 or 5 minutes. In fact, half the story I was going to say, I think Jonny already did by revealing the blog. So I'll talk about our, the trusted artifact signer, and then from there we'll do the deployment, which Marcus will show, and then testing with Cosign. Sally will also kind of collaborate and talk about some of the stuff here. And then we'll do the Rickard, transparency log. And then finally, Greg is going to show us the how it's integrated to an OpenShift pipeline. So how does this the trusted artifact signer fit in, right? I just wanted to show this visual so that way, how does it fit into this Red Hat ecosystem, right? So it is basically part of the solution for securing the software supply chain. And Trusted Artifact Signer is in tech preview today, and we plan to GA it in March. So it's kind of an important tool that goes very well with the developer hub and the trusted content and profile analyzer. So that's where it fits in. Now, just quickly, what is Trusted Artifact Signer? So simply put, it's just a cryptographic signature tool that empowers the software developers and consumers to basically securely sign and verify artifacts. Now, these artifacts can be like source code, release files, container images, binaries, SBOMs, right? Now, they can also be your Ansible playbooks. So it's essentially a production-ready deployment of the SigStore, open source SigStore project within an enterprise. And when you say it's a signature tool, people say, hey, we are already using GPG signing. Why, SigStore, right? What is the main benefit of that? And I would say there are two key things that really differentiates SigStore. One is that it has a keyless feature, right? So which kind of overcomes the difficulties with traditional long-lived keys like GPG signing, and it has a Rickard transparency log. So that means in addition to verifying your signature, you can also go to this tamper-resistant transparency log for verifying. Now, the SigStore actually is quite popular as a service. So there's a public good instance of SigStore. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah, Veda, if you don't mind me interrupting, I can't see you, but if that's okay. So the public good instance of SigStore is maintained by a small group of people, a group of SREs from all different companies. That 2 are from Red Hat, Lily Sturman and myself, and there are a few people from GitHub, Google, Stacklocks. And so we get together every week and we go over every single page that the person who was on call has received, and we keep the public good instance of SigStore running so that thousands of open source developers can use it to sign their artifacts. It integrates with GitHub. It's great. It's actually very complicated to maintain this keyless signing stack, and we recognize that at Red Hat, and we also recognize that our customers are not going to be tapping into the public good instance. There's a lot of data, identity situation. It's just not going to work for most of our customers. So that's really where the idea started with, like, let's bring this to a production ready, like enterprise private, you maintain your own stack of Sigstore. So I just wanted to add that.
Oh, no, perfect. That's just exactly what I was going to say. So, like, the Sigstore is really popular. I guess lots of traction in the community, and they for the root certificate they're using the Sigstore, right? And also the ledger is public, but many enterprises would prefer their own instance, right? Use their own root certificates, use their own single sign-on, for privacy reasons, and that's why we feel that we are filling that need that enterprises have, where they want to protect, their IP development process, and they'd like to have a private, ledger. And, again, security, I don't have to go into the details of why we need it, because if you just have to look at your news, and every day there's a hack, right? I think last week it was 23andMe, like half of all the customers, genetic information was revealed. So the thing is, we need security at every stage, right? From code, build, deploy, monitor. So we should be kind of continuously, looking for vulnerabilities all throughout the supply chain, right? And so you need to kind of make sure, right, that the malicious code doesn't get in. You have to basically make sure the build system, the safeguards to it, and then we have to continuously monitor at runtime, right? And so that's where I think cryptographic keys really comes in to attest to the identity, so that everything is right from the code check-in all the way to build. Everything is digitally signed and verified. And now there's also, you must have heard about SALSA compliance. So there's a way to make sure that before you admit an artifact into your production, you can basically verify that it's SALSA, compliant, level 3 or level 4.
Can I get you to just explain what SALSA is? Like, just, for those that aren't in the know, what the SALSA acronym stands for, and really what it's designed to do.
Yeah. So SALSA is a set of, what is it? A framework
to
supply
chain levels for software artifacts.
Yeah.
Stands for. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. And there's different levels. Each level is, more hardened, I guess. So it's actually, it used to be 4 levels, but recently, like with the recent official release, it's actually like it goes up to level 3, and it's only implemented right now for the builds. If you can find this out upstream, be explain much better than I am. But the idea is it checks certain things like, was there any possibility that anyone could have touched the build, could have interacted with the build system? Is the build system hermetic? I'll have to.
What I'll do is Sally, I'll put a nice blog.
Yes, thank you.
It's from the enterprise contract tool, which actually works wonderfully well with trusted artifact signer. So once you create a container image, take it into your registry, you sign it automatically, create an attestation, and basically enterprise tool can actually look at how that artifact was created. Because many times by just looking at an artifact we don't know, we can trust if we know how it was created, right? And that's the ability that it gives you, and it'll give you what compliance level it meets and all that. So let me put that in the blog.
Great.
This is my last slide, and then it'll be over to Marcus to kind of really show how it all works. I think the most important thing I already touched upon, the immutable ledger, and then The key is we are going to be using like an open ID, you know, for signing, right? So that basically provides the identity. So the when you say keyless, it doesn't mean really keyless. You're just having ephemeral keys that can be just discarded after 10 minutes, right? But you're going to base the identity of the attestation on an open ID identity, which could be coming from GitHub, Microsoft, Google accounts, but at the same time, you can bolt on your own single sign-on service also. Okay, I think let's get started with seeing it in action. So over to you, Marcus.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so if you could just share my screen. Yeah, you are. Thank you. So just a quick highlight. Basically, a lot of the links that we're sharing are also part. All good, Johnny. Also part of this announcement block that we put out, and also a little bit of explanation of the background. And I will be referring to, like, for example, you need to get it here. That's this link signed. And so Veda also had the link to this blog here in his presentation, which will also be shared, I guess. And also, if you just go to Developers Red Hat and search for Trusted Artifact Signer, as you can see here, the title, then you will have everything. And just before I go into the actual demo, just one highlight here. And if you go to the we're Red Hat. We're all about open source. So if you go to the upstream community to Sigstore, you will see there's a lot of talk. So if you just search the various YouTube streams for Sigstore, there's a lot of great demos there. But also a couple of videos that talk about, well, how do I make all these components? So I won't go into detail here, but we have, as Veda mentioned, we have the transparency log, which is called Recore. We have an underlying background component that is called Trillion. We have Folcio. We have our tool set here that needs to communicate with these components. So how do I make this runnable on OpenShift or Kubernetes in general? So that is a recurring theme to a lot of these things. And this is basically what we're doing here. So making this consumable, deployable, and obviously also supported and hardened for enterprise use. So that's what this is all about. And yeah, with that being said, let me quickly, two windows here, share a different window. And now where's...
Yeah, and real quick, Marcus, so Jay Ryan just asked, why isn't GPG good enough and why is this better?
Well, I can just quickly chime in there. The simplest reason, that there are many, and I wouldn't necessarily say that one is better than the other. It serves a different purpose and has a different, let's say, without a bad connotation, it has a different overhead. One of the key features is Sigstore has been developed to ease the use of cryptographic signing by hiding all the necessary technical details under the hood, if you will. So signing and verification becomes a service, if you will, that is installed somewhere on your Kubernetes, on OpenShift, in the future also on your RHEL deployments. So it becomes a service. I don't have to worry about managing keys, probably revoking keys, because what we have is quote unquote keyless signing. Well, obviously there's still keys involved, otherwise I couldn't sign. But as Veda said, those keys are ephemeral keys. There will be just there for like default 10 minutes. You sign your stuff with it and then they will expire. So even if those were leaked, nobody could do any harm. Nobody could sneak in different artifacts using that key, because it already has expired. So that's the keyless part of it. And all this issuing keys, attaching those keys to a trusted identity using OIDC, that's all happening, for example, with one of these components I just shown, Falcio, or Falcio, so whatever the pronunciation is.
I was wondering, so I was going to go with Fulcio because you're calling it Fulcio. I was like, all right, because I've been calling it Fulcio.
I've heard Fulcio also.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I wanted to add about the PGP stuff. So, like Marcus said, the keyless signing is a big selling point of Sigstore, and what I mean by that is like it actually enables people to easily verify. And with PGP, first of all, like not everybody uses it because it's there's just not like a universal implementation of it that everybody knows about, and so because of that, no one verifies. Even if something is signed, they're not verifying. So if you have signed software signed with PGP, but you're not verifying it before you use it, like it doesn't do any good. So Sigstore's aim is to really make all of this really easy. Their motto or their mission is to make signing software what Let's Encrypt did for encrypting websites. Sigstore wants to be that for software signing and verifying. Like you remember 10 years ago, you could go to some websites and they didn't all have the little lock. And like if you were buying something, I had to tell my kids, like, we're not going to that site. It doesn't have the lock. That is total sketch. And so, but now it's very difficult. Now, if you see one that's not locked, you just know, like, don't go there, or like, yeah. And so that's what we want. That's what we want software signing to be like. It's just always done, and it's always verified.
I like the comparison, right? The Let's Encrypt to websites, that Cosign, like what Let's Encrypt is to website is what Cosign is to artifacts. I think that's awesome. One thing I think is really awesome too is the revocation, because anybody that's worked in any type of environment where somebody leaves, somebody gets ousted, somebody just, they won the lottery, whatever it was that happened, and they had to leave immediately. And you have to go in and figure out, like, okay, what credential was used? Did they have access to that credential? How do I change it? How do I pull it? There's a lot of drama that goes into that, right? And you hope that you understand your environment that well, but like sometimes you pick up, you what's the word? You inherit somebody else's environment, and then you end up maintaining it for a while. And I think a good example of that was when Reddit a couple of years ago, or maybe it was last year, their Kubernetes cluster went down, and part of it was like they had so much churn. And then, like their cluster going down, they're like, well, we just kind of inherited this thing. It was just running. And so it is what it is. I think I know I've seen it personally, at least in, a couple of customer environments where somebody had left and that credential was still being used downstream. And so now to have something to be able to pull that back, easily, I think that's amazing. So I'll shut up. And Marcus, if you want me to share your screen.
I also put the blog, link for the enterprise contract. Is a great blog on how, about how to kind of spell out, get a report on the SALSA compliance.
Oh, perfect.
And work beautifully well with Cosign.
Awesome. And when the stream is done, if you allow me to share the slides, then I'll put the slides up, and then I'll put all the links that we're sharing today in the description of the YouTube video, so that way you can go back and go to them. So that don't feel like you have to try and get to them right now.
Okay, awesome.
All right, Marcus, here we go.
Also love all the community names. So and product names. So we have Salsa, and then there's not sure if you know it. Beyond the scope of this call is there's the guac community. So salsa, guacamole.
Oh, guac, yeah.
Here's the tacos.
I never put those two together. Was it meant to be a sort of pun?
Well, don't ask me, but they go well together, I have to say. Well, both from a product perspective as also from a taste perspective. All right. So just I don't want to waste anyone's time. Just a quick one here. So what I'm showing is this document here. So this this deployment guide is also linked from that blog post I mentioned. So that's the important thing. And yeah, a quick reminder, we're in tech preview, so we're also relying on your feedback. So also at the bottom of that blog post is also a feedback email address. So if you encounter anything that you think could be better or is unexpected, whatever, please do send us an email. So what I'm planning to do is just quickly follow this guide here, as I said, I don't want to waste anyone's time. The important thing is before you start, just grab your pull secret, because we're pulling images from a Red Hat registry. So download the pull secret here. Log into that link is also in the deployment guide, of course. So where actually is it?
You passed it. If you go, it's right there in the middle in that important block right there.
The hybrid cloud console.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Seen that too many times here. Yeah. Okay. So grab your key there. Have it available, because the installation script will basically ask you where's the full path for that key, and that's that. Okay, and as I said, one of the things that many people are wondering is, how do I get all these components deployed? Well, that's one thing. How do I configure them so they can talk to each other? That's another thing, the more complicated one, and that's basically as simple as, let me quickly now share another window here.
Jonny, I think my screen is being shown, right? Are we?
So if you can share my command line. Yeah. Oh, everyone can read it. Otherwise, yeah. Okay. And it's basically as easy as that. That's one of the key things we did. We created a shell script, and basically that shell script also uses Helm charts to install it on your OpenShift cluster. So the things I'm skipping here is I pulled down the repository where this is part of. You can see release 1.0 beta. That's the branch I'm currently in, and that's also what's part of the documentation. And yeah, that's basically it. So I will just fire it up for the fun of it.
Yeah.
And you see a couple of things happening here. And well, this will run a certain while. Just a couple of things. What's happening? Well, the full stack is installed, and also for you for ease of use. To try, there's an OIDC provider, in our case Keycloak, that is being deployed with default users, and you can also, there's also in the deployment guide a quick explanation how to add your test user, if you will. Well, beyond the installation guide is or the deployment guide is how to configure it, this tech preview release with your own OIDC,
Of course.
It's a live demo. Yeah, right.
Demo gods.
Oh well.
Oh, well, there we go. Looks
That's
like
it.
it's moving along. Yep.
Yeah, you just got to give up. That's what it is. It was just waiting for you
That's
to
funny.
fill out this one.
I've never seen that in the logs.
Yeah, I haven't either. I think it has something to do with lack of networking, like in terms of, just the connection there. Maybe if it's weak on the client side.
Yeah, let me just real quick while you're okay. Did you want to talk about this, Marcus?
Yeah, well, so the Falcio, whatever. So we basically for signing we need a root certificate. So this is the tech preview. You can study. We have a good explanation of what the install script actually does. If you don't have any root certificate that you want to include, basically this is the step here where this one is created. And you can see in the explanation in the deployment guide also where that is, and you could also chuck in your own pen files if you wanted to. It's very straightforward, but for the sake of the demo, before I break anything more,
yeah, this is basically going through some OpenSSL commands to create a signed certificate and a CA. Yep, and then besides that, the script also puts these certificates and signing keys in the right secrets and the right namespaces with the right permissions and all. I thought I'd help you out because I can't type and talk at the same time, so I figured that might be the same for you.
See, Sally's been there. She knows what it's like to try and demo and then explain what you're doing at the same time, and then it just look awful because you can't. Yeah, you're typing and backspacing like crazy. Yeah.
Right, and this is where it asks you for the pull secret, and I just need to pull it up here. Here it is.
And for anyone who doesn't know what the Red Hat SSO is, it's a Keycloak. It uses Keycloak. It's the Red Hat identity provider. And so we've just simply installed the operator, and we created some Keycloak custom resources, like a couple of users, the realm, all of these things that you would have to spend hours looking up how to connect to Sigstore Stack. We've made it super easy for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I feel like that would be like the biggest hurdle for people to get started, right? Yeah, that's very, very
like
thoughtful.
Where do you start? I don't even know really what an identity provider is, and
Well, that's one of the key things. So that makes it super straightforward. Just to here we go again. Well, I have a 250 megabit down and 40 megabit up. But
that's not very good.
Yeah, that's like dial-up these days, man.
Yeah, dude, I have 1 gig up, 1 gig down.
I'm waiting for fiber, but we're in Germany. It's basically a third world country when it comes to connectivity.
Well, it's impressive, I guess, that it's actually working.
Yeah.
So yeah, what else is going on now? So the script is creating these secrets with the signing keys and the resources. It's spinning up with a Rickard server, spinning up a Fulcio server,
And now
connecting them all.
The charts.
And upstream with the public good instance, and basically the only way to deploy a Sigstore stack right now is with the Helm charts. It's a chart that pulls all of the components together, Rickard, Fulcio, Trillion, certificate transparency, log. What else, guys?
Timestamp authority, tough.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's one Helm chart that includes all of the other Helm charts. So we actually worked upstream with that, and then we pull in all of the OpenShift stuff around it, like cluster role bindings, security context constraints, plus the signer, plus we install a test Cosign pod for signing things in cluster, rather than signing them back and forth from the command line if you want.
So I know back in the day might not have been that long ago, like a month or two, maybe 6 months ago, something like that, within the last year. There was not like an official container image that had like Cosign or Rickard in it. Is that still the case? Like, are we still waiting on the official build to go out into the public registry, or is that available now?
Oh, you mean the Red Hat build of them, or upstream? Yeah, Veda, you can say that because I never know what's out and what's not.
Sorry, what is the question?
Yeah, so go ahead, Sally.
Yeah, do we have official? Can users just pull down a Cosign image now, and do we have our builds available? I know they're behind a pull secret, but
actually, right now what we have with this tech preview is you can install it on OpenShift. Yeah, you can also use the OpenShift pull secret, right? Because we have a cluster, you have one of those, and all the binaries, the Cosign, Recore CLI, Gitsign, everything is available from that cluster. You can download the binary.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's what we have today. But what we are introducing in our next release in Jan, we'll have a separate, binary available from a known Red Hat, website. Yeah. So, but today you'd go to your OpenShift, you'll see the question mark, you'll click that,
Command line tools.
download the activate. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
You can
Marcus-
also go to the catalog.
I also know what the problem is here with this cluster. Well, demo gods. Well, I didn't sacrifice a cat.
Oh no.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. Ran out of cats basically.
It looks like it's progressing.
Yeah, but the thing is, we have a lot of jobs here from the OpenShift marketplace. So basically, something kicked off on that cluster, which I provisioned this morning. But
Once the tough,
something else is happening there.
right? I think we just need to look at the tough copy. If that completes, then I think we're good.
Yeah.
And Greg, real quick, you were going to say something about the image.
Oh, I was just going to say, in terms of getting access to the image binaries, we hope to package them for TP2 or GA as an RPM, but you can also go to the Red Hat certified catalog, and we have all the S2I images with the binaries tarred for Darwin, for Linux, and for Windows architectures. So you can use them as builder images there.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, because before what I was doing is I was building the Cosign image and Recore image essentially separately, and then just calling that in as a image string to be able to run the Cosign CLI. So that's glad to hear it.
Marcus, do you have access to the console?
Yeah, so it's done.
Yay!
So, yay! Finally, but 3 minutes.
Finally, that didn't take long at all. You know how long it would take.
That's for 90 resources, including 2 big operators. There's a lot that goes on in this install.
Yeah, there are 6 services. Once you have Grafana and all that up, you'll see oh my god, that's a lot of stuff that went through.
Yeah. But if you could show the console, I'm not sure if you can. We could show how to pull
absolutely. I just need to share a different window.
Do you know where to see the console CLI downloads? I can point it out.
Yep.
Cool.
Just have to find the right window. Okay, so if you could share that with the audience, then where is it? So
just go up to the question mark.
Yeah, just to make sure, because it's behaving a little oddly, I'll just refresh it here. Yeah.
Download.
That's what you mean, right?
Yep.
The command line tools, and after the installation, you will have. Yay!
That is awesome.
I know.
Yes.
So Cosign, Gitsign, and also the Recore CLI. So it's all here.
Very cool.
Right.
And
It's the little things.
Yeah, we'll also have enterprise contract in our next release in Jan.
Right. So I'll just. I also wanted to quickly verify the installation with signing and verifying. Just one thing. Also, what we did is there is a little script that is called. Just a second. TAS and variables. So that helps you with. Another window, really keeping you on your toes, right, Jonny?
That's right. I'm focused.
I can fill in. There's a whole bunch of environment variables in order to configure your Cosign to work with your stack. By default, if you pull down Cosign from upstream, it's automatically, I think by default, configured to work against the public good instance. So you have to initialize it against your stack, and he can show that.
Yeah. So You see, it does a couple of things. So it gets the server host name and then makes sure that all those variables are pointing to the endpoints on your cluster. So you don't have to worry about that. And once you've done that, you can follow the deployment guide, basically doing a Cosign initialize, then signing a container or whatever, or git sign. So all the tools we've just shown, all the tools are here. And I will just, so it's 14 minutes to the hour. So I will just.
So I think it would be great to hear from Greg.
Yes, that's why I'm stopping.
Some of it's, his perspectives on how this fits in with the supply chain. How does it fit with, Tecton chains? So Greg, if you could, and then also I know you have done a recording which you can share, but yeah.
Yeah, due to some extenuating circumstances, I'm basically going to be talking over the video of the previous demo, which is fine. It's all applicable, and you guys will get to see a demo. But yeah, the name of the game for the TP2 release is basically extending user experience for, the different workflows that people have, meeting that in whatever way we can. That's why Jenkins is an ideal candidate for a feature there. So hopefully this is just the beginning. And that's kind of what this pipelines repo that I'm going to demo to you guys is going to be about, which is just we're providing you the tools, take it, and run with it, make it whatever you'd like to. So I do have this video recording, so let me know whenever my screen is up. And
yeah, I'll start sharing it. Just say I just want to ask a quick question, especially on the Tecton pipeline aspect.
Sure.
From a task file or a even an overall pipeline, or is the team going to publish like an RH TAS pipeline or task file that's going to be out in like Tecton Hub that we can go and pull down, and that way we can actually just call this file individually and just like plug our params in and then go? Or is it going to be like just go to a Red Hat doc site and pull it down?
So I've packaged this as a GitOps repo, which is what I run this from now.
Awesome.
I think I have looked at contributing to the catalog before, so maybe that might be a nice pathway. But it'll really depend on workload and demand that we're getting for,
Gotcha.
If a lot of people are saying this is the feedback we're getting out of beta and gamma release, then, we'll double down on it. But if not, then we'll probably just leave it as a self-service GitOps type operation. So
yeah, totally fair. No, that's awesome. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to share your screen now. So here we go.
Cool. So yeah, I think to start this recording, I'm just kind of tabbing through the different elements of the system that we saw. We saw how there was Keycloak deployed there. This is an old ET cluster that we had. Just want to make sure this is running. This is the OIDC provider we've gone for beta release because it's easy and workable. We have also all the other components deployed here. We have Fulcio and the Fulcio system namespace. We have the Tough root set up in Tough system. And I think Recore as well set up here. It's the transparency log. So just kind of verifying that the stack was properly installed to start this, which is a prerequisite. And there's two pipelines that this demo is going to cover. One of them is verifying source code. And there's two elements to that verification of source code. Firstly is I've done some boilerplate on traversing the Recore log, because Recore is very easy to search if you're searching for an image or anything else that's signed, like just a file or a blob. It's much harder if you're like looking for git commits. And so I thought it would be worthwhile to provide some scaffolding there for someone who might want that as part of their requirements. And the other one is just calling the git sign verify on the git commit itself, which is using the keyless flow to verify that the signature is valid. So here I'm in this GitOps repo, which I'll share the link for later on. What I'm going to end up doing here is I'm actually going to trigger the pipeline first. So that way it can work in the background. We can inspect the logs, and then I can explain what the manifests are within this repo and give you some background there. So if you want to extend it, you understand what the pieces are and how to kind of modify those. So I had a testing file here, which was already in history. You can see how if I call status, it recognizes that as an element there. So I add this, and I'm going to commit this change. I think I don't actually do the commit yet because I touch on how there are certain environment variables that need to be set, much like with Cosign that was described earlier by Marcus and Sally. GitSign also has these parameters that you need to set, but my stack has been already configured here. And in this GitOps repo, at the newer branches, I provided automation scripts that will, much like the other environment scripts, will source these variables and expose them so you don't have to set this. So just look for those changes in the repo, which I'll show later. So I make the commit, and you can see here how it opens up this Keycloak authentication window, and I'm authenticating there, and it spits me back this tlog index to verify, yes, you have signed this commit. It is in the transparency log. We've received it, right? So I think at this point, I'm waiting to see if my pipeline kicked off, which it actually shouldn't have. Because I didn't remember to push at this point. So I think I'm checking my namespace here for my pipeline run. Yeah. And it's not kicked off yet. So I just push here because that's what actually triggers the pipeline. And this is just leveraging native GitHub webhooks. I'll go into the configuration for those later on. And like I said, I have environment variables and scripts set up so that way it can automate this process. So I go to recent deliveries here, and I think I'm just verifying the time of the most recent delivery, and I'm matching it up to say this is the recent delivery. And now my pipeline run has kicked off from that push. So I open up the logs, and then we can dive into the code a little bit so you guys can understand what's going on here. It's going to start by just installing some components. And this demo was based off of the upstream SIG store, but in this demo, I have already in history right now swapped out this for the productized binary. So those should be available as a PR, which will get merged probably later today. So this is the base pipelines manifest repo, which contains manifests that are generic. They're in both the pipelines. We have a git trigger binding here, which will take the data from the git push event, and it will propagate that to the rest of the pipeline so it can be used. We have the namespace in which all these things are deployed. And we also have this SIG store trigger binding, which has the specific details for our TAS stack. It has those URLs. I think I'll show this in a second. And much like the git push trigger binding, oh, it's not showing it. The beauty of old recordings, huh?
Oh yeah, it's going good so far though.
So yeah, I think I'm just talking about how these values will get passed through the pipeline. So yeah, here you go. You can see these are the SIG store, or in this case, the TAS variables for those routes. So that way it can be used later on in the pipeline. This is just kind of like a static way that I can pass it there. And this is all templated out in the automation scripts I talked about earlier, where it will update these files programmatically.
Tecton is like magic.
Yeah,
It is.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
And Tecton chains is like a what is it, like a subset of Tecton, but it includes the SIG store signing and verification stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to sign all your your task runs and pipeline runs and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, the second demo I'm going to show here later on is actually using the Tecton chains, and we're looking into. There's one issue we're currently facing for productization there, and that is that we don't have control over the binary that's shipped with Tecton chains. And so we're looking at, maybe a volume mount. We can mount the binary and overwrite it, so we can kind of pass our own task-specific option in there, or maybe just work with the community to bring it in as an option. So we're in the Tecton chains Slack channel right now, but that's still a work in progress at this point. So I think at this point, I'm just going over the different pieces of the pipeline. So you can see it's only got these two tasks where it will pull the source code, and then the separate task where it actually does the verify commit signature. Jonny, this is that task you were talking about how the internals work. We'll step into that in a sec. This is the trigger template, which takes the aggregate of the two trigger bindings in terms of variables, and it will create the pipeline run from that. So that way it can kind of merge those into something that can be used by the pipeline. We have a event listener, which is what's going to be listening for that GitHub webhook. It takes those 2 trigger bindings as input. We have a webhook secret key here, or a webhook secret, which is the password for the webhook. And it will filter on specifically push events to my repo using cell filtering. So this should kick off that verify source code trigger template as a result of the webhook values hitting this event listener. And we had a sealed secret here. This was kind of just how we were managing secrets at the time, but I think we've moved to just creating manual secrets with the automation scripts. So that's been replaced. And this is the actual task. So it starts by just installing the binaries, but again, this has been swapped out to productized binaries in the actual application at this point. We set some logging on the task. We create aliases for the binaries that we just installed via Go. And then this is that templating I was talking about earlier about traversing the recore log, where it's going to it's going to search the recore log for all entries signed with your email. And then it's going to read them into an array and iterate over them. I can wait for it to catch up. Here it's going to say, so if you have no entries in the recore log that have been signed by your email, it's just going to log some information, say, hey, maybe you have the wrong endpoint, make sure everything's correct here. Otherwise, it's going to get the commit date, and it's going to iterate through all the unique IDs it got from recore, and it's going to add those as recore entries. It's going to get the full JSON format of the recore entry, and it's going to add that to the array. Then we're going to iterate over that recore entry array, so the JSON that recore has. And this is just doing some filtering here to make sure that the difference in time between the commit and the integrated time in recore is less than 300 seconds or 5 minutes, because that's roughly how long it takes for the pipeline to run. This is just a sanity check saying, hey, this is the commit that kicked off that pipeline. And so once it finds that correct recore entry, it's going to pull down the different things that it might need to be able to interact with the stack, like the CTFE pub and the Fulcio cert. It's going to set some environment variables. And then finally, it's going to call get signed verify. So we can step through these logs and kind of match it up with the code pieces we just saw. These are the binaries it's installing. These are the unique identifiers that are signed by my email for git commits. This is just the task logging for going through those entries. We have 31 recore entries in the log. It's iterating over those. This is the JSON. You can see the different, JSON body entries for the recore entries. Let's skip past this. I don't want to go through all these recore entries. These are the time comparison checks where it's going to find that time diff, and it's going to try and find the smallest one here within 5 minutes. And there's going to be an empty check coming up soon. Yeah, right there. We see -n, right? It's checking that entry in recore exists for the correct one that we found that met those parameters. We're downloading the Fulcio cert here. We're setting our configurations. And finally, we're going to call our get signed verify. And we see that same tlog index verifying that it was the same commit that was made earlier, entry 144 right there, and that it comes back as true and verified. So that's the verify source code. I'm just highlighting here that this is that same commit. That's the verify source code pipeline. I think this also touches on the building and signing images with Tecton chains. This is a lot more clear cut of a pipeline. This is a lot more standard someone might use. It's just using the build a cluster task to build an image. I use this handy dandy Pacman repo that Sally was kind enough to point me to. You can see again, I'm starting by triggering the pipeline itself. I'm removing the testing file. I'm committing that. Again, authenticating to the OIDC keykloak. We get a new tlog index that should trigger once I push. I do remember to push this time.
What I think is interesting about this is like,
Mhm.
you're really going through it here, right? Like you're going through like the sausage making, right? The pipeline, the task, the triggers, the event listers, all that stuff, right? So if you're new to Tecton, if you're new to OpenShift pipelines, and you're like, man, how do I if I don't want to use Pack, right? How do I use something else like the event listener for GitHub? This
Yeah.
is a really good example of like, this is exactly what you need to do. You need to set up your trigger bindings, your triggers, all that stuff, and then yeah, this is awesome. This is a very detailed very detailed demo.
Well,
It
thanks.
is.
Yeah. There's a bunch of gotchas too, which is why I found it kind of important to go in this much in depth.
Yeah, no, this is great.
So this is the other where you can see we're in the O2 directory for build and sign images. This is the separate event listener. Again, we have a route exposing that event listener. A separate pipeline, which has 2 tasks: pull the source code and then do the building and signing. Yeah, pretty simple. This is the standard build a cluster task. And it's using Tecton chains, which is why you would expect that there would be like a signing task here, but we don't have to do that because it's actually getting done by Tecton chains. I just specify the full CO and recore addresses here and say, like, what do we want to get signed? How do we want to get signed?
Yeah, and I don't remember exactly, but I think it's either in GitHub or somewhere where you can go and you look at the pipeline, or maybe it's even in OpenShift pipelines where you go and look and there's like a lock next to it, right? And that says, that's basically like your visual cue that, hey, this thing did actually get signed by Tecton chains.
Yeah, I think I show that at the end, just kind of like this.
Oh, my bad.
No worries. It's a great point. I mean, these things aren't like, that's true in Quay. I'm not sure it does it in other registries.
That's what it was. It was Quay. Yeah.
Quay. Yeah. There's also a neat Cosign command called, it's Cosign tree. If you pass Cosign tree and then an image, it will show you all the signatures for that image, and it gives you a little picture next to it. That's nice.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't want to go talk over this, so I want to mention something after you're done.
Okay. I think we're getting pretty close here. So this is just the logs of it building. I show that it kind of got through all this and it pushed to this my Pacman repo here, and it's got this on testing branch, and I just highlight the SHA there to make sure that it's the same when we reload this, and we'll see that it is the same testing branch. We see that little shield with the check mark next to it showing this tag has been signed via Cosign, and we get an attestation pushed with it. And I think it says that somewhere in the logs. And the beauty of Tecton chains is that also, along with this image being signed, it will also, as specified, sign the task runs and sign the pipeline runs if you want. You can really kind of go all out if you want provenance of everything in your pipeline. To some people, that might be overkill. But
yeah, but that is what is required in today's age.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. So like early on when Veda was going through the slides and was showing like, hey, you can sign your playbooks, you can sign this, that, and the other thing, right? Like I literally had that conversation with somebody that was deploying this. My sense of time is so like crazy, but like it was a couple months ago. Like we were talking about like, how do I sign like certain things, or can I sign certain things? Because they wanted to sign literally everything. And it's like,
yeah. And it's not just about the signing, it's about verifying on the other end and setting like your policies to, I can't even pull this image if it's not signed by this identity from this build system. And that's where things need to go. It's zero trust.
One of these SASA requirements, right? So to sign and attest how it was built, not only that I have to sign an artifact, but also can we make sure that nobody was
tampering.
Tampering. It was was tampering with the actual build system, and therefore introduce something, and so that's basically what SASA addresses.
And also the thing is, it should all be part of your workflow, right? I mean, all you did was git commit, and that triggered the sign. So it's not like you have to do some other command.
Yeah, that's one important thing with all the beauty we have seen here, and with all the cool things that Greg is doing here. We should just say, very good point, Veda, for the developer who's committing things and making sure that whatever he does is then signed and secured and everything. It's just this one command, and the rest is happening in the background. That's basically one of the points of Sigstore, of TAS. It should be easy to consume.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Sally, you were going to say something.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to make a point about the interactive browser flow of Sigstore. Obviously, that's not what you do in like a real world situation. So some things we're looking at are around workload identity. You can, if you're running on Amazon, you can easily plug in the security token service, and I think GCP has the same thing, where you give certain annotations on a service account that's running, say, a Cosign pod, and then within that pod, an identity token is auto-magically injected. And so you can use that token in a non-interactive way within that Cosign pod. So you can see it's sort of what happens with Tecton chains. But yeah, in real life, you wouldn't want that browser flow of Sigstore. You'd want more like an identity. And Red Hat's also looking at Spiffy Spire for workload identity too. So those are just some things that are real interesting. And I do have a demo on YouTube, and you can share that, just showing the STS signing.
Yep. Let me find it in here. Got it.
But yeah, by default, Sigstore gives you that browser. You click you click the identity provider you want to use. And
I think they also do they have a headless flow if you're using like a bastion, but it'll just check some environment variable to make sure that like, oh, you have this ability, you don't have this ability. And I don't think it works for us in a fully automated way to use the headless version right now, because it'll make you, open it in another tab. We need to like automate a curl command or some other form of retrieving that ID. It'll pass you and say, confirming that you are actually this person, you have the unique identifier here. So
yeah, and the nice thing about workload identity is it takes a human out of it. It's actually like confirming that this service account in this namespace in this cluster is what signed this workload. Yeah.
Humans are always the attack vector every time.
Totally.
If you can remove one thing that they have to do, you're going to be better off.
Yeah, I agree. If you've ever seen me type, like you're like, yeah, dude, let's get rid of that guy because that's terrible. Like it's awful.
Don't go that far, Johnny.
It's awful. Like especially if I'm talking and typing at the same time. Like it goes thought to keyboard, and it's never good. So.
And that is how Skynet is born.
This is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So I think. Oh, I'm sorry, Sally. I was just going to give you a chance to bail out really quick. So I know he's got to bounce. So.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity, Johnny. Really, really appreciate it. And thanks to the team also, right? I think, and to everybody who attended. And yeah, thanks. I have to jump on another call. So.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining.
Catch you later.
Thanks, Veda.
Thank you.
All right, Sally, go ahead and finish this out. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I was going to say with AI, with the advancements in AI, and everybody just like use AI everywhere. Like these signing, verifying the data, the models, that's where this is even more important.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think when you are like, you want to enable your developers, right? But you also need to protect your operations, and so like, this is how you do that, right? This is like that happy middle ground where I think developers can still do developer things and operators can still, manage their clusters and know that like Johnny's not going to put something in that's just going to like blow the whole world up. You know what I mean? Like, so it's making sure that we have those limits in place. So that way it's like, oh, my bad. I did that. Let me back that out and then fix it. And it's the blast radius is much smaller than what it could be or what it is maybe today.
Yeah, and just one more thought. It used to be that just like the most security-minded people in an organization were the people that were handling like signing and verifying and the keys, and that's just not going to fly anymore. It has to be, everybody has to know how to do this and be comfortable with it. Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess and maybe you're not the right, y'all aren't the right group to ask, but like, what have you seen from a customer point of view, right? Like on as far as like accepting something like this, right? Because I can see like the old school, the old mindset being like, whoa, like that Drake meme where it's like, I can see that. But I can also see like a lot of the people that have been running Kubernetes and OpenShift clusters for a long time. I can see where they're really like, okay, this this is the thing. Like, this is awesome. So I'm curious what that balance is, and do you get a lot of pushback, or are most customers pretty accepting of it?
There's a decent amount who are pretty accepting of it. The thing is that with security, it's usually not very glamorous, right? It's like
Exactly.
the people
Yeah.
that know what they're looking for, they're ready and they're like, wow, this is great. And for the others, it's like, well, don't fix something unless it's broken. But in terms of like what we get from customer feedback specifically is like different platform integration, things besides OpenShift, enablement on EKS, getting a RHEL version. It's really just getting it out there into their hands to build this ecosystem, to provide more features, because at this point we're very closely just tied to the upstream product. And we would like it to be more kind of bring your own whatever, fit into anywhere. Did you have any thoughts, Sally, as well? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you weren't cutting me off. Yeah, bring your own certificates, your own identity providers, and integrations, like you said, integrating with other CI/CD pipelines. With just products across Red Hat are looking at how can we integrate Sixdoor. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm like, sorry, my mind is. This is the part where I was telling you in the pre-show where I get excited and I was like, all right, yeah. So it also kind of loops back into like the hybrid cloud story too, right? Like you were talking about EKS and AKS, because we're not always just OpenShift, right? We have on-prem Kubernetes, we have EKS, AKS, GKE, all the stuff, right? All the things out there, Microsoft. So it's like there's all these products and all these clusters that come together, and if we're like, sorry, bro, we only use you can only use OpenShift with this, like we're doing a huge disservice to our customer, right? Because we want them to take this and we want them to be successful with it. And that means like we want them to be successful everywhere, not just in OpenShift, right? So I mean,
that's our whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't have to be tied to one vendor. You can, we let you do things wherever you need to do them, wherever you want. Yeah.
Nice.
I would even include your work there, Sally, on kind enablement, just for people testing and speed of development, and giving them access to if they want to take it somewhere else, they can build it or make it work there.
Yeah, we have a kind set up in the repository where you can spin up a kind cluster, and it actually spins up Keycloak and all the components. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice. That is awesome.
Wanted to thank you for that as well. So I stumbled over that. That is cool.
I remember back in the day when we first started, and we're like, how are we going to test this? And we figured it out. I can't remember what even the obstacles were, but it was fun.
Awesome.
We went way over, didn't we?
It's good. I think like there's so much information, right? It's hard to bundle all that up into an hour. So like I think we did good. Yeah, I want to give you guys a chance to, if you have any last statements, if there's anything else that you want to say, like do shout outs or whatever, like just now's your time. Shout
out to everyone at Red Hat who's embraced this, this project and ProdSec.
Except Ryan Cook.
Let's everybody
except Ryan. Yeah.
Emily Fox has been awesome as somebody to talk to about security in general across the company. She's new. She came on to Red Hat a few months ago. If you haven't spoken with her or had her on a stream, I'd recommend. Yeah. So shout out to Emily.
I think we've had Emily on before a long time ago. Yeah, I'll have to go back and look. Yeah, all the names and dates and everything. They just kind of like, it's a border.
That's what happens when you get 120 plus episodes.
I know, man. Like we're big time now. We hit 100, and it's been the end of the year has been awesome, right? It's just been super busy, so it's awesome. Yeah. So Greg and Marcus, you guys, you want to?
Just thanks to the team. Everyone's been putting in a ridiculous amount of work. There's a bunch of different projects going on, like Sally talking about the Bifrost stuff, and everyone making it a priority, doing everything in their power to make it work. Veda and the whole product management team, Sudhir, Akshar. People have just been absolutely amazing sports about everything.
Yep, and there's even more to come. So basically Veda, and as I jokingly said, so there's Salsa, there's Guac. So there's another upcoming project. I can't talk about it yet because my boss would have to kill me then. No, just kidding. The thing is just there's more to come, and I'm super grateful having been in services and seeing different customers doing different things with different technologies for years. The thing is, this is not the shiny thing that everyone talks about unless something really bad happens. So taking the time and also the investment, people at Red Hat don't work for free. I mean it's fun, but there's still kind of an investment. Taking that time to make it usable by our customers is a huge investment and a huge commitment. So this is a bit of marketing blah blah, but the thing is, it's not the AI thing. It's not the shiny thing that everyone talks about that's in the news. It's the thing that nobody wants to talk about, because as long as it's happening, you don't have to talk about it. And making that consumable and usable without what I hear from developers is, yeah, security is good, but I couldn't care less. Well, until it blows up in your face and you're called at 3 a.m. in the morning because your product just caused a major outage.
Yeah,
then you worry about it. But on the other hand, I don't want to slow down my velocity. So I don't want to spend half of the day with security tools. I want to code. That's what I do. So making this usable, and as you've seen, just one command line, the rest is happening in the background once it's deployed. So that's basically what we're aiming for, and taking that investment, although it's not the shiny thing. That really means a lot to me.
It's a lot like the trades, right? It's like you have plumbers, you have electricians, you have all the stuff that we absolutely need, but may not have the most glory behind it, right? Like, like the plumber, like, man, you never call the plumber and say, hey man, thanks, everything's great. It's like you only call them when it's bad. You know what I mean? And so like that's the same thing with security. When it hits the fan, it hits the fan hard, and usually it's public and embarrassing. And so
it could take down a whole company.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it, unfortunately, right? Like, and even worse, we keep seeing it, and that's the bigger problem, right? Is that people aren't learning, and we just keep repeating ourselves, and yeah, it's pretty terrible. But yeah, when I was in consulting, I was in services for a long time.
Make sure that it really was a mistake that the competitor did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and when I was in services, right, like it was one of those things where, like we're building these clusters, we're making them ready for production and stuff like that. It's all the things that nobody really cares about, right? But it's the things that like they care about when something bad happens, right? Like there's that commercial where like there's the security leak, right? And the guy's out in the audience and he checks his phone and he's like, oh, we're all set. That's where we come in, right? That's where our thank you cards get get sent and stuff like that. So it's not flashy, but it's incredible. And the demo, I think, is awesome. Like the detail that you guys put into that is, I think, amazing, because there's so many things that you can take from that. If you know OpenShift pipelines, awesome. Check it out. Here's how you get all this stuff set up to interact with Git. Here's how your tasks and stuff like that should look. Very well done. It's what I'm trying to get to. So thank you very much for doing that, and thanks for putting in all the effort.
Our pleasure. Thanks for having us, Jonny.
Yeah, thank you. So again, for the viewers and listeners, if you're coming in late, if you have any questions and you're watching after the fact, feel free to send Andrew and I an email. I'm Jonny at redhat.com. Andrew is Sully at redhat.com, and he's out again saving the world, like he normally does. And so he'll be back with me in the new year when we start this over. But yeah, thank you, Sally. Thank you, Greg and Marcus and Vita, for coming on. We really appreciate it, and awesome demo. So thank you, and thanks for all your effort. Thank everybody on your team for us, except for Ryan. So
will do.
All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna let me send this off. But yeah, thanks again, and we'll see you in the new year.
Thanks.